Hello, this is Mercury Rises from Clash of Empire, also called Last Land, and I wanted to show you the rest of this little Archer account that I have, um, that I have been assigned to turn it to Siege. Um, there are quite a bit of things that need to be done to it. As I said in the previous video, the glory buildings are very low. And so for me to be able to put the glory on the siege, I would need to raise those buildings first and foremost. Now, this account doesn't have hardly any troops, and it especially does not have T10 siege because it doesn't have a 30 level siege building. And I just looked at it and found it doesn't have any T8 either. Now, T9 Siege isn't really used, say, in a rally. It's more like emergency guard, say, if you need to do something like treasure trial or something of that or business. But the T9 Siege is more like a guard. And so, say if you were to use Siege and Throne, you're going to use T10 and T8. But this count doesn't have that, and of course it doesn't have that many gems. But what I was doing was going through and looking at how far Joan needs to go before she gets to the next stage. Because now, instead of having to go all the way to 8-star, each star on its own, now you have stages on every single star. So that's kind of good, because when you have a 5 or 6-star, you don't have to wait all that time to get all those shards to go to the next star. You go through stages now. So, so I was just going through here and kind of just doing the daily stuff or normal stuff that I would do. I had done the initial stuff at reset, and I was just going through and finding out. Obviously, I forgot the turret guard thing or the awakening path game, so I got that done. But also, I had not done the vendor, and I don't normally go through and spend all the gold to flip it every time. Some people do that, and only get particular things, because otherwise it can really eat your gold up. The gem vendor is the most important part, and that is where I'm going to be exchanging the archer gems and any of the other gems that I wouldn't be using for siege gems. Now, I want to keep all the infantry gems. The top two are exchanging with, say, your auxiliary and your economy gems. Well, I just go ahead and get those, because no matter what they are, if they're battle gems, because then the latter part of it, you can switch battle gems. So we want to have as many battle gems that we don't use in order to switch to the ones we do. And that's kind of what I was doing. But then I remembered I had forgotten to reduce the gem size in the armory. So when switching, I have switched a couple of accounts in my time in the game, and when switching an account from one specialty to the other, one of the most important things is to get the gems, and they do actually add up quite quickly. But you do need to have as many of the level 1s as you possibly can, so that in vendor it comes up as you have a bunch of level 1 gems that you can switch for the ones that you prefer. So I was going through here and reducing the archer gems that I'm not currently using. The cavalry gems were already reduced, of course. The siege gems were reduced, so I built those up to see how far they would go. And I actually got a level 5, I think, in one of the blue gems. So that was kind of cool to find out. And then, as far as the economy and auxiliary, those were also kind of built up. Somebody had built them up, and that is basically useless, because there's only so many economy and auxiliary gems you can use, and you want to be using level 5s if you can, or level 4. So I always keep the level 3s and below all to level 1 in the economy and in the auxiliary. And the reason for that, obviously, is in those two top sections in vendor, where those gems come up that you can trade them out. So you want to have good economy and auxiliary gems, obviously, on your equipment, but it won't allow you to accidentally reduce those. Those will be unavailable to be reduced. So the ones that you can trade out are always level 1. So you want to have as many as you can. And that's what I was doing, is just kind of going through and I guess minimizing the gems and all that kind of stuff. So I was going through and doing that. Like I had said in the previous video, the research basically is pretty good. There is already some siege research done, but that's got a long way to go to maximize that siege research. And as a farmer, it's actually relatively pretty easy to do that. So I can always be doing some kind of research and put all my men on there. So the research, the gems, those need to be dealt with. Now, the glory can just be simply moved. So wherever the glory's at, which right now, obviously, it's going to stay on castle and wall, and it's on the archer buildings right now, and there's some, I think, on the troop buildings. And all of that glory can be taken off for 1,000 gold apiece, and then just reshuffled around and put exactly where you need it to go. But again, like I said, the glory buildings are very low. So I have to get those buildings to a 30. And once your buildings are at a 30, then you can go above your level 29 on glory and just keep on going up to 50 if you need to, if you have enough glory to do that. So the priorities are to get the glory buildings up, to get the gems exchanged in order to increase the siege gems, and to work on research anytime I could possibly have resources in here. Now the problem is, and I show you this in a minute, is that it has no troops. And so right now I'm gathering in the mine, which is silver, and with Wajit being as low and Stelila being as low as they are, my silver is just really low. My iron is really low. And so if we have a silver and iron mine, which is what we always keep, then I put a troop in there. And then what I have left over basically is I can do a level 6 and a level 5 tile, if that. That's just how low of troops that I have. And so now I will say, I can make I can make T9 Siege, and T9 Siege is absolutely fantastic at gathering. It's got a very large troop load. You don't need that many in a tile to collect, and so training the T9 Siege for that purpose alone is a good idea for gathering. So, and even speed training it when you need to speed for ceremony or different things like that, because I am just at a situation where I need some troops to gather. And many people will speed train a bunch of T1 Siege for that, which is fine. They're cheap, easy. If they get hit because you're in Civil War or something, they're very easy to heal or to retrain, no big deal. Now, we are at peace. And I had shown a previous Civil War video. We are at peace and we're fine. We can gather just fine. So, but I don't have that many troops. Well, also, at the end of this video, I was going to show you the cross badges, and I had kind of forgotten about that, so I kind of stuck it at the end, is that the cross badge levels are actually rather good. There's 40 on guard, and I think like 37 or something on the archer and 31 on the other, and so those are disproportionate. They probably shouldn't be at those levels, but that's a lot of cross badges. So the players before in this account were crazy about Atlantis. The illustration level is very low, and that was kind of discouraging. It has one Ashbringer. It does have the 2 skins, the floaty and the angel skin. So, that's kind of what I'm looking at. I have all these cross badges, so that's really good news. And thank you, and have a nice day. Bye-bye.